Hello, and welcome to 10 Very Big Books, a Malazan read-through podcast. My name is Peter Bond, and I've read each book in the main series. However, my co-hosts are reading the series for the first time. With me today is my friend and closest confidant, India Jones.
Hello.
And he's out in the wild searching for his long-lost mate. It's Joshua Dean Baker.
Wow, the middle name too. Just fucking throwing the whole thing out there.
I've done it 2 times now, and both times you've been like, oh, my middle name too.
Look, my middle name's my dad's first name. I feel very protective of it.
Yeah. Well, my first name is my dad's name, so we can get along with that.
We get it,
And
Jonathan.
And what is that name? And who are you really?
Oh, yeah, you're revealing my middle name life.
Yep.
Well, today on the show, we're talking about chapters 18, 19, and 20 as we finish out Book 3, Capustan. How you guys feeling today?
Fun, flirty, the usual.
Yeah, I feel
That was
really
my-
rejuvenated.
Yeah, that was my big opening I came up with.
It's pretty
It was
good, pretty good.
I liked it.
We're
Little introduction.
recording an hour later than normal, and by that I mean an hour and 45 minutes because we bullshitted for 45 straight minutes. So I feel great.
That's true
Yeah.
friendship.
It just means I'm going to get sleepier and sleepier as the show goes on.
It's true. It's true.
What
David's
time
almost
is it,
midnight.
Peter?
It's 11:46 p.m. for him.
Ooh, it's
Yeah, it's getting
a
close.
crazy night for you, Peter.
Oh, yeah, just getting wild over here, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I'm up
You know-
all night podcasting.
Next time we podcast, I know it's going to be in the morning, but I would love to do it, like, share a drink with you guys. Like, it could be an
Oh.
orange juice with champagne.
The problem is, like, either you guys are drinking at night and I'm in the morning. Like, someone has to be morning
I'll
drinking.
drink in
Peter,
the
yeah,
morning.
Peter, it's quarantine. Indy and I we'll take that bullet, bud.
It's 5
Yeah.
o'clock somewhere.
Not here.
And Josh,
but
I
that's
believe
all
you
right.
declared you just bought the recipe for boat drinks and such, so...
I do. I'm prepared for island time at any given moment with my giant bottle of blue curacao. So, yes.
That's fact.
All a drink needs to be is blue. Boom, you're on the beach, baby.
I love it.
Alrighty, and with that, let's
Let's
get
dive right
this
in.
started. And I just want to say, this chapter summary is so long. Chapter 18 is a marathon.
Yeah.
So you two will read the other ones, but I'll get through this one.
Yeah, it's
I'll
a big
definitely
boy.
read one.
You're gonna read 20.
Definitely happening.
Chapter 18. Quick Ben is blessed by Talamandus, and they speak of the Bargast god and Kroll's blood. To the west of Capustan, fleeing Panions have encountered the Malazans. They are being cut down. Corlad appears to Whiskeyjack, drawing the commander back to Dujek's tent by traveling Crawled Ghislaine. In the tent, Quick Ben speaks of the bridge burners, the Bargast, and of Anaster. Corlat argues with Whiskeyjack about the Teniscalry and what should be done with the peasant army. Dujek enters, worried about their alliances. Anmander Rake knows they are outlawing to be a fraud. The Mibe dreams again, running from wolves. A Revi woman combs the Mibe's hair, childlike. Krupp speaks with Cole and Murillo, and he declares the battle over. Krupp thinks on Silverfox and the Council. The Council then meets in Brood's tent. Anmander Rake and Corlat arrive. She is worried about the alliance, but Rake seems to be warming to the Malazan forces. And Caladan and Brood cannot argue against this. The Malazans then enter, saying the Teniscalry ride towards the host. They discuss strategies to march southward. Caladan and Brood moves to end the meeting, wanting to speak with the Bargast leader and Silverfox. Outside the tent, Silverfox decides not to attend. Rather, the second gathering is imminent and must be convened unwitnessed by the host. However, Krupp persuades her and will join her at her side. Anmander Rake speaks to Whiskeyjack on a riverbank. They speak of Corlat, the false outlawing of armies and commanders, and of Ganos Perrin. The Crippled God would enter the House of Chains to the Deck of Dragons, and Rake hopes this to be denied. They also speak of the first chaining and the great effort it took. Fenrir was required, and they speak of Fenrir's Reeve and the priest Heboric. The priest subjected to political judgment by Surly, his hand sent to Fenrir's side, later causing the god to be dragged into the mortal realm. In Capustan, Quick Ben puts Talamandus on his shoulder and comes to Botchlin's estate. They decide to investigate further, speaking of the warren of demons when a Sirenth greets them. They free this demon, quickly escaping, and then make it into the estate. they find Bochelin reading along Emanciper Reese and a crow. Bochelin decides to share a drink with them. A drink of blood. In the thrall, Perrin waits on a bench. His stomach still pains. He fears the Elder God's design and thinks on the deck of dragons. Cathal digs through the canoes from underneath the thrall and calls Perrin the one who blesses. The Bargast wish to take the sea, and Humbrol Tower will ask Perrin to bless them and their gods. Quick Ben and Bochelin discuss necromancy, Hood's Warren, and the Chaos Warren. Corporal Broach tries to strike Quick Ben. He defends himself with 6 Warrens. Then, Quick Ben strikes Bochelin as well, using even more Warrens. Quick Ben then leaves, but not before Emanciper Reese complains about his bosses. Afterwards, the manservant drags his masters into the garden and extinguishes the flaming estate. Quick Ben approaches the central square of Capustan, and he thinks more on the power that Talamandus has lent him. He is drawing on Hood's Warren, and the stick snare is the Magi of High House Death. Perrin has left the Bargast and thinks of both Felicent and Tavor. Gruntle then joins him, and they both speak about war and soldiers. Perrin complains that there are so many calling him to deny the Crippled God, but Gruntle thinks perhaps the god should be allowed to enter and play the same game as the others. Quick Ben finds these two, and they speak of the Malazan command and the House of Chains. Quick Ben counsels Perrin on his feelings, saying they need to be listened to. The 3 share laughs at the god's expense, and then Quick Ben relays to Hood that the House of Chains will enter the Deck of Dragons. Finally, Itkovian oversees the refugees exiting the tunnel. The Mass Council will resume rule over the city, and the Shield Anvil speaks to 2 elderly women. There he decides the Grey Swords will swear themselves to Tog and Fanderay, and march south to convert the Tenascalri and face the Panyan Daman. So the chapter begins, Quick Ben is speaking with Talamandus, but we also see many of the Panyans fleeing Capustan, and they're kind of cut down, and then Quick Ben retreats to the camp, and then we find out that the Tist Andy know about this ruse by Dujek. What did you think about kind of catching up with them and then checking in with Quick Ben before he goes off to Capustan to do his whole Corporal Broach Bochelin adventure?
Let me think.
It's a big chapter, you know. It covers so much, and I think they pretty much touch on every narrator of the book besides Tok in this chapter. I feel
It's a lot.
Yeah.
The only things about the Quick Ben adventure that I really cared for was understanding more about that little Talamandus person. I don't understand who he is or what. I mean, like, yes, he's a stick, but what is he? That's my question, actually.
I really struggled for a while with that too, yeah. I had forgotten all about him.
Well, I think because he frees him and it's kind of a passing thing, but then he kind of is such a recurring character, you know, it's...
So if I remember correctly, so Quick Ben at one point gets pulled... No, okay. He meets Talamandus before being pulled in by the Bargast spirits, right?
No, he gets pulled in by the Bargast spirits. Talamandus is an old spirit who got put into the stick snare.
Okay.
And now he, hangs out and is, we later find out he is the Magi of High House Death.
Oh, did we find that out already? I mean, I knew I thought Quick Ben was going to be the Magi of High House Death. I thought that's what was being alluded to.
No, that's Talamandus. So I don't think that's till later on.
This was some of the most confusing shit. Was all of the Quick Ben stuff.
Yeah, so what was your impression of this chapter, Josh? You made it sound like you had a strong one.
I mean, I liked this chapter in that it was like, wow, there's so much cool stuff happening. And also I hated this chapter because, it was too many things, in my opinion, for one person to try and keep track of. It was really difficult for me to, kind of keep, so many different storylines in front of me and all the requisite information for those storylines so that I could, read a sentence and be like, and that relates to this thing from that storyline. It was a lot to deal with. You
weren't making the connections necessarily.
I was making the connections, but it took me a long time to read this chapter because I'm the kind of person that like I can't read something and go, I think I should know what that is. I like had to sit there and like comb through stuff we've read and be like, okay, now I get it. It took a while to get through this chapter.
I'm always doing that, so that's funny to hear you kind of be on the other side of that
it was
in
rough.
a way.
I don't do that, and I think that probably adds to my confusion. Because I'm just like, oh, okay. And I just keep reading. Like, I just don't try to make any connections. And so then there really are no connections until you guys tell me what they are.
Mm.
So, Inge, then the council begins, and Brood, Kaladin and Calor speak with Animander Rake, kind of discussing the Malazans and whether they can be trusted and how they should feel about this new alliance. And then then the Malazans themselves join, and they speak about the Tenascowry and what should be done with the peasant army. So later we see them battle against the Tenascowry, but what do you think of this kind of alliance between Animander Rake, who kind of seems to be taking a more favorable view of the Empire at this point?
I love Animander Rake. What a great character. But also, why are they... I thought that the Malazans, like, kicked them out. So why are they still being called the Malazans? Like, if they have, like, don't they have, like, kind of a separate agenda at this point? Like, why are they still even being compared?
I think the only thing I would say to that is they don't stop being from Malazan.
But, like, their ideals are different, aren't they?
You're not wrong. I suppose you could call them Dujek, like One Arm's Force or something. But, like, it is just easier to call them Malazans.
Like, the questioning of, like what they're in this for. Like,
I think they're questioning because they were fake outlawed in this ruse to try and get these exact forces.
Yeah.
And they are from the Empire and are all Malazan people. So I think it's pretty fair to feel like to call them Malazans and to maybe question, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this is the chapter where all the people find out that, like, they've been kind of being hoodwinked the whole time. So.
No.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I just never thought of it that way. So it's interesting to read them be like, they could be fucking with us here. But I feel like Whiskeyjack and Animander Rake have that beautiful bromance, and I think...
do have a beautiful bromance. It was, I loved it.
I did
Yeah,
too.
so let's talk about that. That's kind of the next scene. We briefly see Silverfox decide to go hold the second gathering, but let's talk about more in the next chapter when that actually happens.
I feel like every female character I usually really like, and then at some point I'm just like, I can't stand you, and that's
that does happen pretty frequently.
What do you mean?
I don't know, like all the prominent female characters, like Sorry, I was like, yeah, I really want to like you, and then I was like, I hate you. And then Felsen, I really, really want to like you, and now I hate you. And Silverfox, they really set me up to love her, and now she's so annoying.
Yeah.
She's so annoying, and rude, and bitter, and petty.
I'm done with Silverfox right now, personally.
I cannot wait to disagree with you. I am fully,
oh my God, all the time.
I'm not going to defend Silverfox. I don't know. But, like, I'm fully on board with her. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, anyway. So, but Animander Rake and Whiskeyjack do have this whole bro out session. They go to the river. They have a few drinks. They talk about boars, the House of Chain, talk about priests. You know, they kind of cover the gambit of it all. Josh, what stood out to you in this conversation between commanders?
I'm sorry, and also, can you explain the conversation? Because this whole, mortal, I need
There's a lot
help.
of junk in it, for sure.
So we're talking about when Animander Rake talks to everyone and then the Malazans come in? That conversation?
I was talking about afterwards when just he and Whiskeyjack were up, but if you have something you want to say about the council.
I want to talk about both. Animander Rake is like I think in my opinion, the most interesting character in the series so far that I've met. I can't, because he is at times such a petty, fucking petulant dude, right? Like, this dude is the king of pettiness until he is the most pragmatic person to have ever existed. And he's one
so
or the
dead
other.
on.
It's so good. Because, like, there's times when Animander Rake's just like, and you know what? Blah! Still, just steals someone's soul with his sword for no good reason. And there's times like this when he's like, now listen, I do understand that our ally has been lying to us for weeks on end, and everything they've told us about their reasons are lies. I get that. But they do fight good, though, and we do need them. So, let's bygones be... And I didn't see that coming at all from him. And it's very funny. He's a very good foil to Kaladin Brood, who is the same person. Because Kaladin Brood is the same. He is also like pretty good at holding his emotions in. And then later, as we see, will just break someone's wrists for the fucking fun of it. So like, they're so good together.
I just love that he's like an immortal wise warrior who's not above having a petty grudge.
Yes,
you know?
Exactly. So, I don't know, I love that. And then, moving on to him talking, first off, and let me just say, I sometimes feel very bad for the Malazans in that, like, they are children compared to these immortal fucking warriors that they're fighting with. Yeah. Right? And it has
Everyone else is like on some next level.
It has never been more apparent that is the case than the two of them just kind of sulking in like, yeah. And Andamander or Kaladin just be, again, the master of pettiness, not even talking about the conversation they just had, just immediately launching into tactics just to make them fucking squirm. Oh, juicy. Yeah. Love it. So then moving on to Whiskeyjack and Andamander Rake. That was the most metaphor-laced discussion between two dudes ever. And it's not even all metaphors. A lot of it's just like them talking about things that they know in a way of speaking that they know what they're talking about. But me as the reader, I'm like, what are we doing? What are we talking about? I don't know. And I'm sure on a reread that talk will set up will explain a lot of things. I don't know. But it was very nice. And then they're like, let's drink. And that was really good. Or is the drinking later? Was this the drink or is the drink later?
No, they drink at the end of that. They're like hanging out and befriending.
It is pretty. I like that they're buds.
Although they befriended each other earlier when they were talking about the Seven Cities junk.
Yes.
When the bridge burners were made.
Yes, that's right.
Inge, what stood out to you during this Riverside chat?
I didn't understand. Is this when they talked about like how the guy fell from being a god or whatever? I don't even know. That Fenrir?
Yeah, they talked a lot about Fenrir and Heboric in this.
So I had a hard time understanding anything about that. And I felt like it was important. If it's not, let's skip over it. But if it is, what happened?
So, listen, I'm not 100% on it. I tried to sort it out earlier, but please write in. But let me take my best stab. So they cut off his hands as an act of like judgment.
And we're talking about Heboric, right?
Heboric,
yes.
Yeah. However, the people who cut off his hands were not like members of the cult of Fenrir doing it out of this pure act of judgment, according to the Reeve, but rather they did it out of like political will from vis-a-vis Lassine's direction, like they did it on purpose, you know? So therefore, Heboric's hands were not like, they didn't go to the right place, I think Fenrir's Warren, rather they went to like a side Fenrir.
And he's just like looking at him all the time? That's what it sort of sounded like.
Fenrir's was hanging out with Heboric's hands. Then when Bodin touched his chest and then he touches the jade statue, it drew like his hands, since they were next to Fenrir, were brought into the realm, and that's like Fenrir tattooed Heboric to keep the power within him.
I'm lost. I'm
Listen, to be honest, I'm somewhat too.
Yeah,
but this was my best.
Yeah, it was rough.
I guess we'll have to worry. I'll worry about this when it gets brought up in a book and a half.
Yeah, preach. Well, I think it could be this book because they brought fucking Heboric spot. Oh no, they brought Duiker. That's right, they brought Duiker. Heboric's alive with Felison. So yeah, next book.
Yeah, like Heboric had all of this Fenrir power, but Fenrir tattooed him to keep the power within. You know,
We're not even that far from last book, and I'm already forgetting people's names and like the difference between them.
I know is this made me miss Heboric. I love that guy.
He's pretty funny.
So in Capustan, it's in two parts, but really we see Quickben go up to the estate, and he has this whole little necromancer adventure. Josh, what did you think about his little interaction with the two necromancers?
Okay, this interaction, along with the interaction at like the tail end of chapter 20, I have decided that is it the tail end? Some point in chapter 20. I have decided that Corporal Broads and Balchalan are my two favorite characters next to Andamander Rake currently. They are funny as shit. They are, for all of their competence, they are horrifically incompetent, and I just love them both. And I was actually getting ready to say I could read a whole book of them, but I know that there are several short stories about them that I really do want to read because, like, they're so fascinating. Which, also, I don't know one from the other. Is Botulin the one that talks more?
I think Botulin's the big one.
I don't know which one's what size.
No, sorry. Botulin's the smart one, I think.
Okay, and so Corporal Broach, the one that talks. And Corporal Broach is the one that just wants to fucking murder people?
Yes, I think so.
That's what I thought.
Because, one of them's a big silent boy.
Yeah,
you know?
Okay. I just want them all. I want them in every chapter doing dumb shit. They're perfect. And also, they always get away. Like, yeah.
I agree. I love their manservant who plays the straight man. Oh my
god, what's his name? Right? Oh, I can't think.
Emancipator Reese.
Emancipator Reese. Ugh, my hero.
Inge, what'd you make of this whole little necromantic adventure for Quick Ben?
I thought it was interesting, but also it was like weird. Why did he go there with his little stick person? What is he doing?
His exact reasoning was, I gotta stretch a little, it's been a bit. I gotta make sure I feel good about this. That was his real ass answer. I do
think at one point Talamandus is like, why are we even here? And he's like, it's fun.
This is dangerous.
Or something.
You're doing dangerous things for no reason. And he's like, yeah, but...
Yeah, he's just hanging out, I don't know. It's definitely a side story, for sure,
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know, I thought it was funny when they were, like, debating in this place if whatever they had was a woody or a fruity, and he was like, well, I don't really know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh god, when they're drinking blood?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, oh god, that was so good.
And he's like, oh, well, it's, the opposite of sweet. I just thought it was
everything about it was good.
Like when chapter 18 stopped being shitty, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, and then after that, we really the attention kind of draws more towards the thrall, and we see Perrin speaking with Caffel, and the Bargast plan to set to the sea, and Perrin has the power to bless people, he is informed.
No, still don't get it.
Whew, yeah, me either. Don't worry, Perrin doesn't either.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, how do I do this?
Yeah. I think he even says, what do I do? Just say you're blessed.
You're blessed.
Yeah. And let me just come out here real quick and say that this begins the 3-chapter storyline of people being told by everyone else, this seems the logical choice. And then the person who has to make the choice be like, no, I'm doing what I want to do. And it is a wild ride of every time they make that choice. And I'm so curious how it's going to end.
I want a quick shout out. I want to know what you mean, but I do want a quick shout out. I was just reading a later part of the series, which was referencing this conversation in hindsight. And it was very interesting to kind of touch back into it and see the parallel about where those characters ended up later on. Mm-hmm. So that's just a note for me and people who know what I'm talking about. So, Josh, are you talking about Perrin's decision to let the Crippled God into the deck of dragons?
Yes, because, okay, I will say this. The gods are pretty dumb consistently. Consistently, every time a god does something, it's pretty dumb. And so I do understand where they're like, you know what, they had their chance to destroy this all-powerful evil and they failed. Let's do it the opposite way. And I'm like, I don't know. Because Perrin's like, they have to play by my rules. And I'm like, you don't know what those rules are. Like, you literally a moment ago said you don't know how to let someone in, and now you're like, I'm going to let him in and control their actions. And I think it's a very big leap for Perrin in how he views his own powers. So, yeah, I found it interesting.
Inge, what do you think about the choice to let the House of Chains into the deck of dragons?
I truly don't know what it means. So all I got from that is now he has to play by the rules. So I don't know what the rules are.
Let me literally put it in how I'm making myself understand it, India. And I'm sure it's completely wrong, right? When I read this, it made me think of each god and their household being pawns being figures on a chessboard or checkers board? No, chess. And they have very specific things they're allowed to do. And currently, the crippled, and I think even they say that the crippled god doesn't, he just flips the board whenever. But the crippled god is currently, not on the board, and he doesn't have to follow those rules, but he doesn't have power because he's off the board. So they're like, well, we'll bring him on the board. He gets a little bit more power, but in exchange, we have a better idea of what he's able to do with what he has. That's how I'm understanding it, is like they're all following this archaic board game set of rules, and the Crippled God now has to follow them too. That could be very wrong, but that's how I did it.
I think it's a fair metaphor to get at how I understand it. I don't know if it's exact board game like, but yeah.
I'll answer that with any board game I've ever played ever. I at least cheated once. So
is that true?
Really?
Yeah.
Peter, you've probably played board games with her.
No, Peter doesn't play games with me.
That's not true, Inge.
Peter's
He tried
always
to play
playing
like
games.
Settlers of Catan with us like one time, and then we like didn't even get to it.
So,
But it's fine. Yeah. So I don't know. I think I don't know I don't even understand the houses, so I can't give you an accurate answer. What I can say
no
is
one understands the
I
houses
probably
yet.
wouldn't. I probably would not.
well, Inge, let me ask you this then.
Ask me.
So the chapter kind of ends with Kovian giving the Grey Swords a new mission statement. He's dedicates them to Tog and Fanderay, and they're going to march south. So what do you think about him kind of taking the reins and reorganizing the group?
Did he also name the new shield person in this as well when he did that?
Yes, this is he kind of creates a new power structure.
Yeah, that was. I didn't understand what gave him the right.
Yeah,
Is it
I
because
didn't
he's
either.
the last one. But like how he's like, okay, no, I'm not doing this
That was
anymore.
basically my
You
understanding.
Well, he uses those witches.
Are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. You both just accepted that. So that's a thing that people can do. It's just use witches.
Yeah, like that's
What do you mean? You encounter a witch? You're like, what's going on? You got some free time?
and he just brought that. It was that the girl recruit that we all came to know and love, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
fuck. What's her name?
You know, it's so
Starts with
funny
like a
that
V.
he. What'd you say, Josh?
I think her name starts with a V.
Yeah. Well, I don't
Anyway.
know.
I think it's Vicky.
Yeah, that's probably it. I don't know. That didn't make. I don't understand. Who cares? Like, how do you just abandon your one god and decide to? It just doesn't make sense. I don't know. I didn't have any thoughts about it. I don't get it. I don't get the implications of it. And I know you're all going to be like, how do you not? But like, I don't. And if you do, good for you. I have no thoughts on it.
Josh, do you have any thoughts, or should we move on?
Let's move on.
See, exactly.
All right.
Wait, we have to double back. We didn't talk about the T'lan Imass. Is that this chapter? Or is that
What
next
about
chapter?
them?
No.
That's next.
There's like one scene where
okay, I thought we missed that.
Silverfox
Okay.
says, Silverfox is like, I'm going to go do that in private.
Okay,
and
well, hold on.
leaves.
Before we go on, though, India, here's all I have, okay? The fucking wolves, we do find out, are the dog wolf thingy that was with Lady Envy, and assumedly Tok, because Tok's been, like, seeing through a wolf's eye for, like, ages now.
Right.
So my assumption is that Tok will be the mortal sword of the new Grey Swords, who are worshipping Tog and other wolf. What's the other wolf called?
Fanderay.
Fanderay.
All right, sure. I mean, it seems very funny if Tok becomes like the mortal sword of Tog. You know, that's a very Erickson thing to do, is just like switch one letter 4 books ago and be like, God, it's gonna be such a good payoff.
You didn't see this one coming.
Nope.
You idiots.
Yeah, I guess that's my thought.
Okay.
Alrighty, that's funny. Oh.
AJ, when it seems like,
Alrighty.
AJ, quick note. When we start fading out, like we're gonna go into the new chapter, can you give me like a record scratch and then I'll bring it back to the Grey Swords?
He does that all the time, to the point where I feel like,
Does he?
yeah, he lots of times here. It's very nice. Here's what I'll do. It's like he'll like have us say like chapter 20, the swords, blah, and then he'll like cut to be like, wait a second, guys, I forgot to scrape the sunscreen off my face or whatever we were saying.
Oh, that's funny. I don't listen to the episodes. That's my dirty little secret. I hate the sound of my own voice, so I can't listen.
I agree. I hate it so much. I try to listen to it.
You hate my voice too? What the fuck, India?
Anyway.
Chapter 19. It is time for the second gathering. Kruppa rides alongside Silverfox, and the thousands of T'lan ride alongside them. Pran Chol introduces himself. He witnessed her birth. Other T'lan Imass introduce themselves, including A. Estos, declaring the Logros are hunting a renegade T'lan Imass. The second Logos to introduce herself is Olar Ethel, a bonecaster and soul taken who speaks of the first throne, Kellanved's occupation of it, and the consequences of his ascension. The second gathering speaks of killing the Pandian seer and what might come after. The T'lan Imass feel as if they have won their war against the Jaghut and wish their eternal lives to end. Silverfox hears their plea for peace and says no. Whiskeyjack, Corlat, and Animander Rake prepare to battle the Teniscowry. Rake, in soul-taken form, briefly grabs Anaster but frees him, then into the Tinsty Andy form and starts to slay the Teniscowry with Dragniper. Whiskeyjack intervenes to stop him, and has his own guilt on his mind as well. Corlat joins them, and they turn their attention to Anaster, desperate and his one eye scarred. He speaks hatefully about his mother and Whiskeyjack, but they spare him. They will bring him to Itkovian for judgment. Afterwards, Dujek joins Whiskeyjack, speaking of the weight of judgment. Corlat speaks of Anaster's soul filled with self-loathing. Whiskeyjack, however, is still torn over the killing of the women of the Dead Seed, and the group discuss this burden. Dujek speaks then to Whiskeyjack about honor and Lassine's desire for the commander's death. Aside the dreaming Mibe, Cole and Murillo discuss Ralik Nam, Teniscowry, and what should be done with this suffering woman. In her dream, Mibe runs from the wolves, and inside she finds an imprisoned man, Tok the Younger. He berates her like she is the seer, speaking of one who would deny Omtos Falak and of a Kachain Shamal matron. The matron's memory of her children turned against her by the seer. When she awakes, there are cuts on her cheeks, and she still suffers.
So, it's time for the second gathering. We've been hearing about all book, and all these different leaders of the T'lan Imass show up and convene to talk with Silverfox about what they should do and their role here on this continent. Josh, what did you make of this scene?
So a lot of things. First off, I felt like I should have enjoyed the whole, like, one by one, the T'lan Imass coming up and introducing themselves. You know, I thought that could be a pretty cool epic moment, but I don't find myself caring about them. So, like, it didn't really have any impact, and, like, I don't know who they are, I don't understand what these accomplishments mean. So that kind of, and my other thought was, I was just like, who are they doing this for? Because Kruppa doesn't know Kruppa knows more than he ever lets on. The two Marines don't know shit. But everything they said, basically, Silverfox was like, yes, I am aware. You know, she's very all-knowing about a lot of stuff. Until they got into, like, the whole, hey, we're, like, chasing down these, I'm talking about when they're introducing themselves. Like, she seemed to know a lot about that stuff. Now, the information they gave, I was like, wow, this is so cool. And I don't super get it. I kind of got the Kellanved stuff a little bit, in how, like, he took over them, but then when he left, I get what they're saying, how he, like, the only way you leave a throne in this weird ethereal sense is by dying, and he didn't die, so it's like, that's an interesting, like, conundrum.
Yeah, it's kind of occupied but vacant.
Yes, it was very interesting to me. I will say, the thing that really got me was just the overwhelming feeling of sadness of these people. They are just, and the tiredness, the exhaustion, just, like, I felt such empathy for, like, their plight. And I gotta tell you, Silverfox said no, and we got, like, a little peek into her brain, and I did not like her reasons. Like, a lot of her reasons were like, wow, all these people are telling me to do this? No. Fuck that. Why would I do it? They're telling me. And then I'm assuming, I have to assume for my own sanity, that she knows there's a reason she can't free them yet. But, like, come on. Like, they're so tired. Please just let them rest. It was brutal. I felt so bad for them. It was really rough to read.
I don't really think that... I think because they did say, like, listen, we'll help you kill this, whatever Jaghut is controlling the seer, whatever that situation was. And they're like, yeah, we'll help you do that. But, like, after that, can we die? And I really truly think that she just selfishly doesn't want to be alone.
That's what I couldn't figure out, right? Like, it seemed like it was pure selfishness and
Which
not
I get,
that there's...
because she's only been alive for 3 hours. I get it, Peter. I get it. I see the mouth.
I just feel like
I just don't know if it's selfish. I mean, like, she was born, created for this, like, and then, like, she doesn't really have a family or anyone. She's not really Ribby. And then all the T'lan Imass, these are supposed to be the people she was created to be. And now they're all like, actually, we're out of here. You know, can you, like, you know, to oblivion we go.
I get it, but is loneliness an excuse for condemning an entire people to just eternal life that they hate? Like, that just feels like, no. Also, there are people literally that she travels with that like her. Like,
maybe they could find a new purpose. Is it that crazy of a thought, you know? Like,
yes,
I don't know,
they've been alive for millennia.
One person find a new purpose. Hello.
She wants to hang out with someone, you know? Is that a crime that she wants it to be this bone army?
Hey, Peter,
literally
fuck you.
Is a young woman with like all these connections because of who's inside, like the people that she's made up of, and she can't find something else to do. She needs to hang out with literal skeletons. That's what you're telling me? That's what she wants to do?
But they're her people. They created her. And they don't want her, you know? I think that's pretty hurtful, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I do. I totally get it. But also, what is the bigger picture here, honey?
Yeah, hun.
And the risk that she runs if they're like, okay, fuck this, and just go off and do their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
I did also want to shout out that we hear from Olar Ethel more about the low-gross T'lan Imass that we encountered last book.
I don't
They're
know.
the ones that...
Them. That's what I was wondering. The whole time I was like, I feel like I've met low-gross T'lan, but I have no fucking idea when.
Yeah, remember they encountered them. That's who gave the sword to Stormy, and then they're like, whoa, we're hunting our renegade kin, and then now they're there and they're saying the same thing. So,
yeah, no, I didn't like any of that. That really annoyed me.
What? Just the Silverfoxes saying no?
Yeah. And then she's just so like, then she's like trying to call like the bone man her dad, and he's like, okay, I'll be your dad. It was just a lot.
That's what I mean. She has no family.
Right, she doesn't. And we all get dealt cards in life, and those were hers. Let it go.
All right, well,
Stop condemning 100,000 people.
That's pretty cutthroat, I feel, but...
That's me, man. This book has made me this way.
Yep.
Funny to hear you say that. So... India, we see the battle against the Teniscowry that have met One Arm's host. We see Animander Rake taking a bunch of people out. Then he kills some with Dragnipur. Then we encounter Anaster one-on-one, and they decide to spare him to save him for Ikovian. And Whiskeyjack is pretty torn up about a lot of stuff. What do you think about this huge sequence with Whiskeyjack, all the Tist Andy, and the Teniscowry?
Okay, my thoughts were, first of all, that is how I want all battles to be. Quick. Kill him, it's done, we move on, and we're over it. Loved it. I don't feel bad. I really... Okay, so let's start when Whiskeyjack has to kill the ladies. The crazy ladies.
You don't feel bad for the moms?
Oh, no, not at all. In fact, I wish that Animander Rake would have done it so that they could have lived in his little torture sword.
Wow. Fucking brutal.
Hot take.
How is that hot take? They're insane. They're psycho. They're insane. It would have been. I mean, they wouldn't even have known what was going on.
They deserve forever torture?
Is it torture?
Yeah, we were in the sword. Seems pretty bad to me.
Okay, yeah, but like people are in the sword for less. So honestly, either way, I would have put them in the sword. And had Whiskeyjack just listened instead of being a drama queen about it, he would have saved himself, which is what Animander Rake was trying to do, all of this anguish that he's feeling now for killing them. But like, what was he going to do? Was he going to send them to like a Malazan like asylum? Was that what he was going to do? Like, what was the other options?
The Empire does seem to have huge mental health infrastructure. That's one thing I was picking up on, you know?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So, like, he's just so dramatic, like, all the time. Whiskeyjack, like, constantly in his feelings, and I can't deal with it. He's like, and then, so this whole, like, he's like, okay, I guess I'll kill them. So he does, and then he's like, I can't believe what I've done. I am just as bad as all of them. So that's how I felt about that. I mean, also, and now speaking of other people that are in their feelings, Anaster,
whatever.
What is his deal? Because he's like brutal AF, and then he's like legitimately crying.
He's a fucking he's a child, is what it is. Like, he's a broken
100%.
child.
He's like
Can't take him either. So, I mean, that whole scene, all I have to mainly say about that is I loved that it was just a quick little battle, and Anamanda Rake should show up more often.
I love when he breathes crawled Ghislaine out of his dragon mouth.
Brutal. So good.
Like
so good.
Yeah, that was pretty... I didn't understand what that meant when I read it. I just thought that he may have eaten people. But that makes sense now. I mean, they did say that, and I was like, well, how does he get them in the mouth? But you're saying that he breathed it out, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Great. I loved it. I loved every bit of it. I loved it.
I, too, really like this sequence. I think this whole chapter, for me, stands out the most. I love the whole second gathering. I love this battle. I love seeing Anaster be so kind of sniveling and pathetic, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting, and I especially like later when Corlat speaks about him, and like how much he hates himself and all this kind of stuff. I think that's interesting characterization, and I think I don't know.
I love Corlat.
Yeah, I don't know. I like that part. Now, Josh, I believe it was during the first book when we were talking about Dragnapur that you were the one who was, I would say, felt a little. I don't know, you were a little uneasy about the morality of it all and how Anamanda Rake would use his eternal torture sword.
Yes, I was.
So how did this section hit you about that and just the overall passage?
Felt like I was right.
So you don't like the sword still?
No, I still hate the sword. Still think it's fucked up beyond belief. I will say I feel here's the problem. I don't care how many hundreds of thousands of people that were truly terrible Anamanda Rake has been like, I will deal with them, you know, and my conscience, my willpower will be the one that carries their burdens. We get it, Shield Anvil. But, like, I don't care about that. One person that he's just like, check up my cool oh no, and he just, like, you know, beheads someone on accident. It only takes one innocent person in there, and I still think it's fucked up. Still where I'm at.
I mean, I'm definitely against it. So there's like for sure Pete's against the forever torture, you know, but
just seems not great.
Also, of all the people that he could have forever tortured, he chooses not to forever torture this little demonic child.
Oh, well, they choose to keep him because they're like, I see you have an arch rival. We're going to bring you to.
Yeah, no,
you know?
I get that. I get that.
I think that's so fun, you know?
Just, whatever. I mean, whatever.
I just like that, like, he's there and he, like, it feels like he's juicing it for the drama. He's like, oh, I see you have a arch rival. Let's bring you to them. This will be particularly spicy, you know?
That does make it seem a little bit more exciting, I guess, when I hear you say it.
And then the final part, of course, we see the Mibe.
Oh, God.
And she is running
Mibe
through her dreams, and then she encounters an imprisoned Tok the Younger, and they have a whole conversation. And then, Josh, what'd you make of her encountering Tok like this?
It took a while before I realized it was Tok, and then I was like, this is weird. I don't know, it just was kind of like a weird time for me. I don't know, man.
I loved that part.
I felt so bad for Tok, because his brain broke. He got broke brain.
He's fine. He's coming. He's
struggling.
He fine?
I don't know. It was weird. It was interesting that, like, we've gotten hints that her dreams are, like, more than they appear. And this was the first time that it's like, oh, shit, they're super real.
Oh, yeah, those dreams are real.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. All of the shit that happens in her dream kind of confuses me. Because I want to understand it, and I try really hard to understand it, and then I can't, and then I just, like, I'm done with it.
Yeah, that's me for most of the book.
Well, I just like the parts about the Conchained Shamali matron and speaking about kind of how, I don't know, she the idea of her children had been turned against her.
Yeah, she
I think
was
that's
duped,
very interesting.
not once, but twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She seems like a moron, but I guess she's crazy, so it's not...
Take her down a peg.
Yeah.
All I was going to say is I know I said what I said earlier about Silverfox, but I wanted to read this quote and then maybe just share a thought, So this is the second, I actually think it's the third time the title's mentioned. When frozen between life and death in the glacial in-between, what can exist of mortal feeling? Not even an echo, only memories of ice, and no more than that. I think the quote's trying to get at how things can fade away when we become preoccupied with the past or just certain things, And I think many characters in the book are hung up on one particular thing that is like preventing them from, engaging with life or moving on. I think obviously the T'lan Imass are very focused on this ancient war with the Jagat, but, I think a character like Calor has all these ancient wounds he's thinking about. I think a character, obviously Whiskeyjack often is thinking about his past. And I think a lot of characters are thinking about what it means to be kind of in between two places and not being able to move on, Perrin is reticent to move forward himself. And so that I just wanted to shout out that quote. And then if anyone else wanted to, share any memories of ice related thoughts, of course, send them our way.
I thought you were going to say if we have any to share, and I was like, no.
I was like, I have absolutely no thoughts. The only thing I got from that was like, oh, that's the name of the book. Ha 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 ha. But yeah.
I just feel like there's a bunch of people who just like can't get over a thing, and like that's like they need to, start journaling about it, I guess.
I often can't get over a thing.
Inge, do you want to read the next chapter summary?
No, I don't. But I will try. Now, if there are any typos, just know I'm not like you, Peter, and I don't switch things up on the fly. I will read them as they are, or I'll lose my train of thought. It's not my fault. It's just my brain. I can absolutely
guarantee you there will be typos. So
great.
Kick it.
Awesome. Love it. Chapter 20. Tak has arrived in Coral, his mangled body in the hands of a seer Daman. The seer Daman was a native to the region and speaks of his old days with his family in the harbor. Tak thinks of Lady Envy briefly, and then is brought back to the matron. Itkovian watches a few buildings being demolished in Capustan, then join Grundle and Stony on the way to the Bargast and the Masked Council. There is to be a parlay. Picker watches Quickben and Para prepare as well. Before they leave, they ask where Spindle was, and they say that a distant Capan prince wishes to speak with them. Perrin orders them to bring the man to the thrall, and he leaves. Corbel, Broach, and Botulin approach politely from nearby and ask for directions in the city. Perrin then draws closer to the parlay, and sees that the second gathering has come and gone. Approaching the tent, Itkovian drops his commander's garb and speaks with a Malazan soldier. And then Caladan Brood congratulates him as the defender of Capustan. The council consists of multiple masked priests, Grundle and Stony, the Bargast, and most of the commanders of One Arm's host. Calor bickers with Karuli, then realizes he is not a priest of Krull, but rather the Elder God himself. The commanders then agree to split into the Malazans and the Whiteface, and a second army of Brood and the Grey Swords. They then will reconvene after taking separate southern cities. Wrath Burn interrupts, challenging Caladan Brood for not awakening the sleeping goddess with his hammer. He offers it to her, but she is far too weak for it. Brood believes he will find an unseen path to save Burn himself. Silverfox approaches, with Perrin, Krupp, and Quickben. The council turns their attention to Silverfox and the T'lan Imass. They speak of Raced's fate, and the T'lan Imass who had opposed the tyrant. Silverfox is firm with her intentions to wage her war. Corlat enters the back of the tent, and Itkovian notices her pain. Perrin then introduces him to everyone, and then Itkovian heads toward the Malazan's camp. They speak of Silverfox, and Perrin thinks Nightchill is in command, but Itkovian dismisses this. The woman acts as one. There is no split personality now. Krupp runs after them, speaking of Tog and Vanderay, wolves older than the elder gods themselves. Krupp also cryptically speaks of the souls in Silverfox before the Darrow is left behind. Silverfox is approached by the Triggle Trade Guild, and she allows them to use the T'lan warrant to travel. Then the new shield anvil, Norrell, approaches and petitions her to surrender the T'lan Eye. The Eye served her out of alliance to the T'lan Imass, but they belong to Tog and Vanderay. Silverfox denies her. She needs them. Hetson joins with wine, speaking of Itpomian and other sexual prospects in her horizon. Carl and Murillo stand aside the Mibe and march toward Capustan. Near the Bay of Coral, Lady Envy and her followers speak of Mock's desire to duel Tool, the House of Chains, and then they find a floating Mekros city. They explore the city, but it is abandoned. They only find the T'lan Imass, Lannis Tog. She has come to join the second gathering, to report that tribes of T'lan Imass have lost over 50,000 soldiers in a war on the southern continent of Assail.
Well, thanks for that. Thanks for that, Inge.
Hated that.
Yeah, it's pretty fun, isn't it? You know?
No, it's awful, and I'll never do it again.
You know, I gotta tell you, I do think of the next 7 books, I think I'm gonna wrangle you into reading 1 or 2. So
1 or 2 more chapters. That's all I got in me.
yeah, I think you're gonna be able to do it. Alrighty. Inge, this is our first time checking in with Tok in these 3 chapters, and he is a mangled boy in the hands of the Seer Daman as he's kind of reminisce about the city, and they arrive in Coral. So what do you make of this, and how are you feeling about Tok's current position?
I think Tok's position is great right now. The Seer Daman gave him his cloak as a blanket. What more could he ask for?
Very flirty.
He's on like a beautiful like waterfront harbor with just some corpses. So yeah, no. So Coral has already been obviously taken down, which I guess that's what they were discussing in the beginning, that there was no way they could save Coral, right? Because it was like next in their sight.
Yeah.
Okay.
His conquest was discussed a while ago.
Yeah, okay. I feel bad for Tok. I don't get why. Is it just like he gets like a 15-minute walk outside and that's why he was away from his mom? Or
That's what it sounded like. Just kind of weird.
yeah, why? Like, is it just to like torture him further to like give him some space and then bring him right back?
To be honest, I'm not 100%, but I guess it seems pretty thoughtful. You know, I think it's pretty nice to bring her, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really get much out of it other than the person who he was with had lived there. So was he there before and then it got seized and like destroyed and he got taken out of it? Or was he like, or they said that when he was young, right? And his dad just sailed away, right?
Yeah, I think it was kind of setting that city's, like introducing that city and kind of talking about it in different times along with one of the soldiers, you know.
Yeah, okay. Well, I thought that was weird even so, like why I don't know. I feel bad for Tok and I'm interested to see where he's going or if what Josh said about him being the new mortal sword, right?
I don't know. Well, because they said that like their mortal sword was found far to the south or something. I thought that's what they said.
He's just in like such a predicament right now. Like a really, really bad one that I would just love for him to get out.
He could not be the mortal sword. I don't know shit, so.
You're always right though, Josh.
Josh, we see Picker and her squad kind of demolishing some buildings, and then they're gonna help. They're gonna find this obscure prince, and then Perrin goes off to go with the rest of the council. Do you think anything will come of this obscure prince?
I mean, I don't know. Knowing this book, yes, this prince will become a huge player out of nowhere, and it'll be like, oh, you didn't know about the prince? Oh, you fools! I don't know, man. We'll see. This is what I was talking about. Well, I want to say earlier that this is the scene I was talking about, where Corbo Broach and Belchalon just like show up, and we don't know it's them, but we know it's them because the servant runs after.
Sure.
And they both just get fucking knocked out, and that's hysterical to me.
Yeah.
Like these all-powerful necromancers just like pow one in the face, other gets sworded in the head. Very good.
I didn't realize it was them.
It's because it says then a bedraggled man in servant's clothes runs behind them like, "Sirs, no!" And it's like, oh, Emancipor.
That's funny. That makes that funnier.
Mm-hmm.
Before I was like, why'd she just punch them in the face? Like, for what?
I don't know, because they were being rude and she's a soldier, I guess.
Yeah, she has no time for the nonsense is all, sir.
So it's after that, then, that we have this massive parlay outside of Capustan, where it's kind of decided what's going to be done with the city and what's going to happen with all the soldiers afterwards. So, and Caladan Brood, like, breaks the priest's hands in a great bit.
Fucking brutal.
Inge, what was your big takeaway from the many meetings here? It should also be noted that Silverfox joins later and speaks about the T'lan Imass and her desire to go to war so firmly, you know?
Yeah, I think that this is like the definition of too many cooks in the kitchen.
For sure.
Yeah.
Great call.
Yeah, like, I feel everybody has somewhat of their own agenda in this grander, but everybody is going toward, like, this obviously grander, we're all fighting the Panin, Damin, whatever. But at the end of the day, they all kind of want to get something out of it. So, and there's a lot of clashing, and I don't know, I don't understand. Like, I get, obviously, for book purposes, you have to have all these people come together. But in, like, the real scheme of it, it's like bringing all of these random players together that are supposed to be working together is just crazy. And it makes sense as to why these tensions are so high. The idea of, like, turning the Teniscowry into recruits or whatever seems...
Yeah, to convert them.
I don't agree.
You're not on board.
I'm not on board. I disagree.
Why?
Because because why? For what? I guess that's
because they're fanatical and they're passionate, you know? Clearly they're
once
committed to their work.
And that's what they said. They were like, yeah, arguably people who eat people might be the best people to pick. But it's like, yeah. We're crossing lines here that I don't know. I'm not sure I want to cross.
I do agree that, like, too many people are in the meeting, and I'm just sorry, you know, Gruntl's cool and all, does not need to be here.
Why is Stani there? Why is Stani there?
Yeah.
What is she doing?
Like, oh gosh, so dramatic. It's just all so dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
Josh, what did you think of this big meeting? Silverfox shows up late. We realize Crawley is Krull. Lots of stuff goes on.
Yeah, that one I was kind of like, really? This whole time?
But also, who cares? Who cares?
It's true. I mean, apparently he can't do much. So I guess it's kind of like, well, yeah, you are Krull, but, like, what does that even mean? Power move by Silverfox, showing up late, dropping her knowledge, and leaving. Ooh, fierce.
Yeah.
Also, kind of a fucking dick move. Like, she's gone full on, I'm a bad bitch, here I am mode. So,
literally, no fucks.
Yeah.
Not a fuck given.
And I'm here to support her in that decision.
I support her
in that decision, PB. I do support her in that decision, but also let the people die.
Yeah, let them fucking end their suffering.
Like, I like her for everything except for, like, her obvious abandonment issues.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, understandably
understandable, but you're in a position of power now. So, like, figure it out.
What do you think about her decision to not surrender the T'lan Eye to the Grey Swords?
Brilliant.
That was
brilliant.
Weird.
I would never.
100%. If I got a whole army of skeleton wolves, you never leaving my side, baby.
Here's my problem, all right?
Literally.
If there's one thing I've learned from these books, it's that if someone who seems completely unimportant says some ominous shit to you, it's gonna happen, right?
Thanks.
Like, for sure now, she's gonna regret not giving the T'lan Eye up when they, I don't know, fucking murder her or something. So, yeah, that will happen. That is my guess, is that some bad shit will happen, and the Grey Swords will be like, oh, we told you so! So...
I do just want to double back since we're just kind of jumping around, and I know we've mentioned a few times, the Caladan Brood giving his hammer to the priestess just as like a prank or whatever.
To break her wrists? Oh, yes.
Yeah, you know.
He really punked her, huh?
It's pretty funny, I
got
feel.
her good.
Mm-hmm.
So we also see Cole and Murillo kind of escorting the Mibe towards the city. Inge, what do you think's going to happen here? What do you think? What's your prediction?
Oh, Peter, what is even... Like, I need first to understand her, like, there's so many facts. Like, she's such an interesting character, and I was thinking about how we often talk about her, and we often just say the same things over and over, like, oh my god, I feel so bad, oh my god, what's going on?
Yeah.
But it's just like, there's so much to unpack there, I feel. Like, will she ever get young again? Will she die? Why do her dreams, like she got scratched in the dream, she got scratched in real life, like, what's going on? So, and I really love Cole and Murillo for, like, that's them, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Like, they are being so sweet and so kind, and they're like, no, we're not letting this happen anymore. We are done seeing this old lady suffer.
Good people.
Yeah.
So when she gets there, also, I really can't wait, and I want you to remind me, and I wanted to talk about this now so that I will always remember that I want to ask him how he wrote in the point of view of such a scorned mother. Like,
Yeah,
I'm so interested in
It's
that.
very good.
Like, if he got any, like, advice, like, I don't know. But yeah, so I'm so interested in how he writes like that. It's really, really, really interesting.
I remember listening once he was inspired by a friend, but we should definitely talk to him about it. I mean, so I think it would be obviously, I would like to.
Right? Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're, and I still want to know, like, I feel like those bracelets that Krupp gave her were not what he said they were. They have to be something else, and I need to know what they are.
They're definitely some weird shit.
Because, like, shit got really weird once he gave her those bracelets, I feel like. Or maybe I'm crazy. But, I don't know. I hope that, like, they I don't know. I just want her to be young again, live her best life.
Yeah, agreed.
That's all. So
and
I'm hoping
that
they take her.
To go back to that Memories Ice quote, you know, it's like she is existing frozen between life and death in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like, she is in this position of this in between, you know?
Yeah. She's in a shitty situation. So I hope that wherever they're taking her, if they're taking her I don't even know. Do they even really know where they're going? Or are they just, like, looking for, like, a healer of some kind?
I also think in that last Mibe dream section is when there was the most kind of, I would say, poetic language about maybe motherhood altogether. Do you know what I mean? Because it really was speaking very broadly about her as, like, mother symbolized. Do you know what I mean?
She was like, she's drained my whole life. But isn't that regular motherhood? And I was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that really hit home. Not that I'm a mother, but, you know, it would really suck to feel that way.
So that's all to say, call your mother.
Seriously.
Josh, our final peek in this chapter, we check in with Lady Envy, and she discovers a floating city, a random T'lan Imass. What'd you make of all this?
I love her so much.
Lady Envy's the best. She's a queen. But literally, because I read it yesterday, and the whole time I was just like, it's so Steve. It's such a Steve thing. I've said it before, like, I can be, like, he presents us with an impossible situation for the characters, right? And then he takes 2 paragraphs and fully establishes a thing that exists within the world and why it totally makes sense that it's currently here. Like in the fucking last book with the Trade Guild. And you're like, no, you can't get me with this. I'm not going to believe. And then 2 paragraphs later, I'm like, of course, the Trade Guild established in this place. You know, of course, they're classic. So, it's like we see a fucking floating half of a town, one singular alley. And Mock, who, by the way, Mock, now we're talking, I guess. I guess we're just the fucking...
Mock talked earlier.
Yeah, but Mock's not shutting up now. Mock is, like, fully like, hey, what's up? We're buds. And he's just like, yes, the floating towns of these barbaric people who show up occasionally, you know, when it makes sense for the plot. Of course it would be here. And it's very cool. It's a very, very cool image of just this floating town. But, like, can I back up way far real quick? Not way far, like a couple things.
There's no rules,
it's
just
your
right
world,
here.
Josh.
Speaking of things that Erickson does that I'm just like, Steve. He led me in at the beginning of this chapter with, like, 4 paragraphs on the cat people of Coral, right?
Oh, sure.
Only to then just be like, it's a shame they're all dead. Like, why did I need to know about the cat people, Steve? They're all dead. I was so pissed. It made no sense. And you call them cat people, but I'll never get to know. Do they have big ears and furry faces? I won't know. You killed them all before I could see them.
I know, they're just husks now.
Yeah. All right, back onto this.
But Josh, you could think about them being alive.
Nope.
Yeah.
Back onto this. Very cool. Very into it. Did not expect to see a T'lan Imass. Also, okay, real quick. They're all called the T'lan Imass.
Sure.
Yes.
But then
And
they
their
have, like, a
clan
name in front.
the clan name comes first. So the
Yes.
Logros T'lan Imass.
Logros T'lan Imass.
Can you please help me remember? And we met them last book, briefly.
The Logros are the one we met on the boat. They were chasing Rogue Kin.
We usually are dealing with the Kron T'lan Imass?
The Kron T'lan Imass
That
are
and
like Prawn Chol is one of those, and they're
And-
the ones we've met before on Genabacchus.
They're the ones that Kellenved took control of, yes?
No, they're the Logros.
So, okay. So the Kron T'lan Imass were not taking control of Kellenved, but they're the ones we keep seeing.
Yeah, they
Logros-
fought at Capustan.
The Logros T'lan Imass were being used by Kellenved, and then when he left, they just went to do things.
Yeah, they're
Calenved.
hunting some Rogue Kin. They're kind of occupied.
Yes.
Shadow Throne.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, great. I feel good now. It was very cool. Also, I know for a fact, or I feel, not, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I'm aware that, like, in 2 books, we're going to go to a completely different area, and I have to assume it's going to be to wherever these fuckers are.
So, Inge, do you have anything to add about this last section, or?
Are we wrapping up?
Well, I was gonna move towards wrapping up, but
Well then, who is this human that killed all these T'lan Imass?
interesting
We don't know.
question.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. I think we're going to find that out, India, in, like, a couple books.
When are we gonna realize that humanity is the tyrant, guys? When
Oh,
are they
preach.
gonna realize?
Preach. I mean, I think we're seeing many examples of it at Silverfox.
I know. At Silverfox, you freaking
Oh,
moron.
don't you dare.
Yourself included, Silverfox.
So, I just also want to before we move into the final little wrap up thing, the show came out. We've been doing the show for like a year. That's all I wanted to say. So, like, yay.
Hell yeah.
Woo!
I really like the build up to that, Peter.
Yeah, it was very good. It felt very
Yeah,
natural.
you know me, really letting my hair down, really celebrating.
Oh yeah. You're tired. It's nighttime.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's like 1 a.m. for you.
It's no. You forgot daylight saving times. It's midnight.
Oh, okay.
Anywho's, so we have decided to read all of book 4 in one big stab, and it will be a big super show. So the next
Yay.
episode of the podcast will, I'm guessing, be supersized and discuss the entire ending of the book. So I would just love to hear, since this is our last time before we wrap up the entirety of Memories of Ice, Josh, what do you think's going to happen in the end of Memories of Ice?
That's too big of a question.
All right, just pick. You can just pick one, but you know.
I guess that. All right, here's what I'll say. I have a sneaking suspicion that our current alliance, because it feels too buddy-buddy, I
Agreed.
feel like due to a series of unfortunate events and people, specifically men, not talking to one another because they're too fucking dumb, I have a feeling there's going to be a giant misunderstanding at some point, and the alliance at a pivotal moment will begin to dissolve. I don't know if it will completely shatter, or if this just going to be, or if there's just going to be like an extended moment where everyone thinks it's going to shatter and then they bring it back together. I don't know which, but I really think there's going to be at least one moment of like, oh fuck, the good guys are not happy and it's shit's gone bad. That's my thoughts.
Interesting. You reminded me of it just there. I think there's a conversation between Hetten and Silverfox about sexuality and gossiping differences
Yes.
between the Rivian and
Oh,
them.
the girl group was the best part of the fucking chapter.
I really loved the girl group section,
girl
and then there's a
group's
section
so
where like
good.
Silverfox dismisses all the men or something, and is like, self-importance will do that to you or
Yes.
something. It's so good.
God, fucking get it.
I love this.
Anyway, back onto it. Inge, prediction on how Memories of Ice is going to wrap up.
I don't know. Okay. Well, at the end of the day, Memories of Ice is just a book. And so,
Okay, where are we going?
Holy shit, everyone get your pencils out. India's about to drop it.
can you tell that I'm bullshitting because I don't know?
There's many words on the pages.
And where there are so many pages to a book, the ending could only be that,
And then...
at least, I'm calling it now, there'll be 4 main character deaths.
Oh, okay.
Okay, do you want to name the characters, or are we just going with the number?
I'm going to say, you know what would be a crushing blow? You know what? I'm going to say, I just feel like in order for Whiskeyjack to rise, Dude Jack One Arm has to die, and thus calling his death. Don't know why, I just feel like for somebody else's... And who knows if Whiskeyjack will even be important in the next 7 fucking books, but...
Yeah.
I think he will be. Also, you know, in battling this war, there's, from the last book, there's a complete other, like, shit brewing up. So I wonder when these worlds are going to be like...
Yeah, that we didn't talk about it earlier, but Perrin has a whole little thought where I guess he's almost just teasing his sister's conflict. He's like, I'm sure
that too.
Felizan's in the mines, Tavor's living a luxurious life. He kind of thinks about his sisters at one point.
Yeah, you'd think that he'd go try to find them.
He's pretty chill about it for sure.
Yeah, right? He's like, yeah, my sisters, man, I gotta get back to them, but this pain in my stomach. But
my sister was sold into slavery, but you know, I'm pretty busy over here. I got my hands full.
But yeah, something's gonna happen with him too. I don't know what, but something's gonna happen. He has so much. I need some questions answered. You're asking me to answer questions that I don't even know the answer to.
Well, I have to say, I'm very much looking forward to reading the end of Memories of Ice and talking about it. You know, the ending of each book's always an exciting time to.
I agree.
Have a show.
I'm excited for it to be done. Like, I'm not excited to read it. I'm excited to, like, know what happens. Not,
I feel that. I feel that, yeah.
If I know what happens at the end of this. Which...
I'm excited for both. I haven't, it's been a while since I read Memories of Ice. Been having a good time, so I'm looking forward to finishing it. And with that, of course, we're 10 Very Big Books at Gmail and Twitter. Let us know what you think of the show. And as always...
we love you.
You're all special in your own unique ways.
I was gonna say have a good week, but as always, we never.
Yeah,
I think
you every week say as always, and then say something different every time.
Catch you on the flippity flop.
Oh, you can't say that. I said that for years, and you fucking hated it.
Catch you in the funny papers.
That is accurate. You don't get to use those words, Peter.
Catch you in the mitt, like baseball.
Nope. No, I wasn't with you until the as baseball, so now I'm really into it.
Make like a tree and leave. Make like a bee and buzz off.
We're gonna make like a baby and head out.
That's my favorite.
Hello everyone, producer AJ here, trying something new today. I mentioned in the Discord that I'm finally reading along with the show, and I got some requests to share my thoughts, so I thought I'd try something new and give my 2 cents on the chapters covered in every episode. Stuff I thought they missed, or stuff that I enjoyed. We'll see how this one goes, and maybe you can expect more from me in the future. The biggest thing I wanted to comment on in this episode is that I feel like the gang really missed the point of the seer freeing Tak from the matron and showing him quote-unquote mercy. In the book, it says, quote, "The seer had wanted him to see Coral, the palace fortress, his vast cordon of mages, the 1,000 or more Kachin Shamal hunters, the elite legions of his main army. The defeats of the north meant little to him. It was a quote-unquote mercy to let Tak free of the matron, but only to show him that losing Capustan did not really matter, that his would-be rescuers will be exhausted and weak after their treks from Capustan in the Second Gathering, only to be met with thousands of undead monsters and a cadre of Panyan mages. Letting Tak free was no mercy, it was meant to break him down even further." On the flip side of that, I also just wanted to address when Krupp says in chapter 20 that he dances, quote, "with breathtaking artistry and grace, nay, he glides like an unbroken egg on a greased skillet. Stumble? Fall? Krupp? Never." Having not read Guardians of the Moon, I never fully grasped Krupp's wackiness when they were talking about it, and reading it in this book is just, it's so good. Anyway, if you enjoyed hearing my thoughts, please let us know. If you think I could make it a little shorter, let us know. If you didn't like it at all, let us know. This whole show is an experiment, so if there's anything you'd ever like us to try or to change, adding spoiler warnings to the Erickson interview notes, for example, please reach out to us on Twitter or Gmail, 10 Very Big Books on both of those, or you can say something in the Discord. We've been growing little by little over the last few weeks, and it's really great to see it gradually become more and more active as the numbers grow. If you you'd like to join the Discord, you can head on over to bit.ly/TVBB Discord. That's capital V, capital B, capital B, capital D, Discord. The link will also be in the show notes. And as always, thank you so much to Dan Gesrick for making our spectacular logo. You can follow him on Twitter at Dan Gesrick for the hottest A-Rod and J-Lo possibly buying the Mets takes. And of course, the wonderful music in today's episode is by the one and only Amaranthin from their album Simulant Rain, which you can find along with their other music on bandcamp.com. Links to their pages will be in the show notes. And 10 Very Big Books will be back in 2 weeks on May 15th with the finale of Memories of Ice. That's chapters 21 through 25 of Memories of Ice. And then we'll be done. We'll do some off-season stuff, and then we'll be back in probably a month after that with book 4. It's crazy. One last thing. Sorry, I didn't write this in my script because I forgot about it until right now. We've been doing the show for just over a year now, and seeing where it started and where it is now is so beyond our expectations. So just thank you so much for listening. Thank you for telling your friends. Thank you for reviewing. Thank you for just being involved and coming along on this journey with us. We really, really appreciate it, and we'll never be able to tell you how grateful we are to have as wonderful of a community as we do. So, all right, this has gone for far too long. So we will talk to you in 2 weeks. And as always, thank you so much for listening.
Do you know what we haven't really talked about? The fake cursing in this. You know, it's a big part of the series, and we haven't really hit on the fake cursing.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, I got my thoughts. I don't care. It's the same as when they say carf in Star Wars. Don't give a shit.
What is
Next.
carf?
Exactly, India.
They say carf in Star Wars?
Yes. I think that's the word they use.
Are you thinking of frack? That's the only
Nope,
fake
I typed in carf, and the first thing was Star Wars. Let's look it up.
I don't know if we can go forward without a fact
Oh, no,
check.
carf's a creature.
Yeah, let's really derail the show.
Well, let's look it up. Star Wars cursing.
AJ, can you throw in some more record scratches? Maybe like some confetti sounds or something?
Cark, yes! Cark and carking is a Huttese expletive, appears frequently in Star Wars Legacy. I listened to the Star Wars podcast for a while, and they always said carf, or cark, yeah,
Oh,
so.
All right,
fucking crushed
so
it.
not... Okay. Anyway,